This video is about the first combat Halo jump and the events or circumstances which led up to that mission. Before we get into that, I'm going to give you some information on HALO and HAHO jumps. At the end of this video, I'll have a couple fun facts regarding some record freefall parachute jumps as well, so stay till the end. Please like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow and is greatly appreciated. Thank you. This is Combat Halo, Vietnam. Many of us have seen jumps like this on the big screen in movies like Navy SEALs, Active Valor, Captain Phillips, and even Mission Impossible, but what exactly are they? These are HALO or HAHO jumps. Both are classified as military freefall operations or MFF. HALO stands for high altitude low opening and HAHO is high altitude high opening. It closely resembles skydiving, where the operator free falls and then pulls their own parachute instead of having it pulled by a static line. According to the Army Techniques publication 3TAC18.11, HALO is defined as jumps with a maximum exit altitude of up to 35,000 feet mean sea level or MSL and a maximum chute deployment altitude at or below 6,000 feet above ground level or AGL. Minimum exit altitudes are defined as 5,000 feet AGL and a chute deployment altitude of 3,500 feet AGL. HAHO is defined as an exit jump at a maximum altitude up to 35,000 feet MSL and a chute deployment altitude between 6,000 feet and 25,000 feet AGL. Whether the HALO or HAHO jump technique is used depends on a variety of circumstances. But simply put, there are two main circumstances. One is if the enemy you are trying to infiltrate can track or shoot down your planes, and two, if you are allowed to fly over the country you are going to infiltrate. What I mean by this is if you want the world to know there is a military operation going on in that country, or if you want to keep it hush-hush. For example, let's use the Ukraine. If you don't want anyone to know you deployed special operations forces inside the Ukraine, HAHO would be a good choice for infiltration. You could fly a plane in a normal route near the Ukraine. A team could exit and glide into a drop zone or DZ near the Ukraine. Because of the high altitude opening during a HAHO, the team can move quite a distance. The parachute described in ATP 3TAC18.11 is called the Ram Air Personnel Parachute System or RAPS. RAPS is listed as having a forward movement of 20 to 30 miles per hour and is highly maneuverable. This makes a RAPS system capable of conducting standoff infiltrations without having to physically fly over the target area, keeping assets outside the detection and threat ranges. These parachutes are a lot more advanced than the ones used in the first combat HALO though. Now if they can't shoot you down and you can fly over the area you want to infiltrate, then the HALO is a choice because of the short time the operators are in the air. It takes approximately 12 seconds for a free-falling body to reach terminal velocity, which is a speed of 125 miles per hour or 183 feet per second. A HALO jump with an exit altitude of 12,000 feet means a 60-second free fall with a chute deployment at 2,500 feet and a 2-minute and 30-second chute ride to the ground. HALO and HAHO are a lot different than the static line jumps the Allies conducted during the D-Day invasion. Just for reference, airborne troops were supposed to be dropped at an altitude between 600 and 700 feet. However, due to the weather and the planes being shot at, paratroopers were dropped anywhere between 300 and 2,100 feet. Now let's discuss some of the pioneering figures whose work is responsible for the first combat HALO. Colonel John Stapp. At the end of World War II, aircraft started being equipped with jet engines and could reach greater speeds and heights than before. In the late 1940s, John Stapp, a colonel with the U.S. Air Force, conducted studies concerning the deceleration on the human body and how the body reacts to altitudes. Specifically, Colonel Stapp was conducting research to test the survivability of pilots ejecting at altitudes up to 45,000 feet. These studies led to the development of the ejection seat, pressure suits, and knowledge regarding the dangers of hypoxia at high altitudes. This knowledge led to the use of oxygen by pilots when flying above 14,000 feet or more than 30 minutes above 12,000 feet. Major General John K. Singlaub. Singlaub had a very intensive military history. He joined the Army during World War II and was recruited by the Office of Strategic Services or OSS. Singlaub conducted covert OSS missions in both the Pacific and European theaters during World War II. Then, a second lieutenant, Singlaub parachuted in behind enemy lines to rescue prisoners of war and to train and strengthen the French resistance. After World War II, Singlaub stayed in the Pacific to monitor the Chinese Civil War. In 1951, then a major, Singlaub served as a deputy commander and chief of staff of the Joint Advisory Committee Korea, or JAC for short. JAC was the first time the CIA formed a clandestine services field mission, a predecessor to the now known Special Activities Division of the CIA. While with JAC, Singlaub was the first to demonstrate a HALO jump. Singlaub wanted to find a way to place CIA agents for covert operations, and being a master parachutist, Singlaub used freefall skydiving, or HALO, to do it. Singlaub demonstrated HALO jumps out of both B-26 Bomber bomb base and L-19 Bird Dogs. In 1966, Singlaub returned to Special Operations and commanded the Military Assistance Command, Vietnam, Studies and Observations Group, otherwise known as MACV-SOG. If you don't know what the secret commandos of MACV-SOG did during the Vietnam War, please click on the link above. This video gives a description of who they were, the missions they conducted, and the weapons they used. Singlaub was Chief SOG from 1966 to 1968. Colonel John Sadler. Colonel John Sadler was Chief SOG from 1970 to 1972. Before SOG, Sadler served in the 11th Airborne Division, which was assigned to JAC during the Korean War. Sadler was a U.S. Army parachute expert and served on the Airborne Board at then Fort Benning, which is now known as Fort Moore. Sadler had experimented with HALO jumps during the Korean War and helped design the Army Special Forces HALO School, which started in 1957. In 1958, Sadler was HALO certified. Then Special Forces Green Berets used HALO to deliver SATMs, or Special Atomic Demolition Munitions. These suitcase nukes, as they were referred to, were small nuclear devices which could be infiltrated by land, sea, or air to cause some heavy damage. By 1964, each Special Forces group had an Operational Detachment Alpha, codenamed a Green Light Team, which could deliver a SATM by HALO or any other means necessary. Special Forces Green Light Teams were in use from 1964 to about the mid-1980s, and an estimated 300 SATMs were available for use during that time. I got a little bit off topic, but let's get back to MACV-SOG in Vietnam. By the mid-1960s, SOG teams were not having great success infiltrating Cambodia or Laos. For instance, in 1966, during a Bright Light mission, which was codenamed for a rescue mission, an entire SOG platoon was massacred by the Viet Cong. During other attempted rescues of American POWs, SOG teams would get to the location of the POW camp and find the POWs have been moved just hours earlier. Singlaub would conclude SOG information was being leaked to the North Vietnamese Army, or NVA, somewhere within SOG. Colonel Kavanaugh relieved Singlaub as Chief SOG from 1968 to 1970. Kavanaugh believed SOG communications were being compromised. The Army Security Agency, ASA, was brought in to conduct an audit of SOG communications for operational security, or OPSEC. It was concluded the communications leak was serious. By mid-1969, Chief SOG Kavanaugh mandated SOG Spike or recon teams to carry with them a KY-38 secure voice system for their PRC-25 radios. The KY-38 weighed 50 pounds and added to the burden of the team's ability to move quickly and carry extra ammunition, food, or anything extra due to the added weight. SOG also believed the NVA pretty much had their landing zones, or LZs, figured out. SOG could only insert teams 12.5 miles into Cambodia or Laos, which greatly narrowed down their insertion areas. Another compromising factor during that time, SOG was limited to daylight insertions and extractions. Weather like low clouds and rain also limited air operations. These limitations led to the idea of a parachute night drop, like during D-Day. On 23 December 1969, RT Auger static line jumped into Cambodia. During the landing, a Civilian Irregular Defense Group, or CIDG soldier, SOG's Vietnamese counterpart, broke an ankle. The whole team was extracted shortly after their landing due to the CIDG's injury. SOG teams continued to be compromised on the ground. During the months of April, May, and June 1970, every SOG team inserted west of Khe Sanh into Laos was hit. During the months of July, August, and September 1970, 74 SOG insertions were conducted and 2 out of 3 experienced significant contact once on the ground. On 10 October 1970, a SOG team was extracted shortly after insertion due to an intercepted NVA radio communication. The communication detailed an NVA unit lying in wait and giving the signal to move on the team after the helicopters landed. By then, Sadler was chief SOG, and an investigation into leaked material had already begun. At the time, every U.S. official handling these documents was polygraphed to make sure they were not leaking information, but SOG had no authority to investigate their South Vietnamese counterparts. After the war, it would be revealed the NVA had several operatives from their secretive intelligence agency, the Trinh Sát, embedded in many locations, including the assistant to the South Vietnamese president, who received information about SOG operations 24 hours in advance. However, Sadler believed something different needed to happen. In July 1970, Sadler authorized Sergeant Major Billy Waugh to select the world's first combat HALO team. Waugh chose Sergeant First Class Sammy Hernandez, Sergeant First Class Melvin Hill, and Staff Sergeant Cliff Newman. Newman had the most experience skydiving and was a team leader, or Team 1-0. Hill was a HALO instructor. 2 CIDG Mountain Yard or Yards also volunteered, and an ARVN officer. This team would become RT Florida. The 6 men were flown on a SOG C-130 Blackbird to Okinawa for training. They were kept in a secluded, fenced area for their training. This was partly because of OPSEC, and Japanese officials did not authorize the Yards or ARVN officer to enter the country for training. The training was 1 month long and conducted by HALO instructors from the 1st Special Forces Group. The team learned how to control themselves in the air through the modified frog position, lateral descents, and flying V. For simplification, the CIDG soldiers' ripcords were controlled by an altimeter to automatically open at a set altitude. RT Florida remained in Okinawa for 1 month of training and then went to Long Than for a 14-day course in tactics. Master Sergeant Frank Norbury was brought in to help with training. He was a HALO instructor at Fort Bragg, but a combat HALO at night was never trained for. At this time, the Nighttime Combat HALO book was being written by SOG. Nighttime HALO brought with it a couple of problems. The team was having trouble staying together in the air and landing at the same location because they couldn't see each other. Regrouping once on the ground was also a problem. Locating the drop zone, or DZ, also proved difficult. The plane could not circle until the DZ was located. They had one shot at finding the DZ. After training was complete, RT Florida was given a mission. They were to wiretap a communication line next to a road the NVA was building west of Chu Lai in Laos. There were an estimated 10,000 NVA soldiers at this location, a whole NVA division. Before the first combat HALO jump took to the air, it was requested the NSA used all of their assets to monitor enemy communications for knowledge of the jump. The first jump by RT Florida was scrubbed because the NSA did intercept a communication from Saigon to Hanoi, which included the names of the soldiers in RT Florida and the coordinates of the jump. A new date was selected for the jump, and this was kept completely undisclosed. On 28 November 1970, RT Florida donned their gear, which included the Colt Commando XM177E2 carbine, sawed-off shotguns, sawed-off M79 grenade launchers, suppressed pistols, snub-nosed revolvers, M14 toe popper mines, M18A1 claymores, and grenades. The main chute they used was the NB8 main parachute with a T10 reserve. I also read SOG used the T10 main, however I cannot find any information saying that T10 was modified to do anything other than static line jumps. Once geared up, RT Florida waddled onto the SOG C-130 Blackbird. After reaching altitude, they breathed oxygen out of a console inside the plane. While on board, the SOG operators painted their chutes and chute packs with green fluorescent paint so they could see each other in the air, but this proved worthless. At 2 a.m., the tail ramp opened. It was complete darkness. Although the jump master, Master Sergeant Norbury, laid on the ramp looking out, they could not locate the DZ. The weather was overcast and raining. The aircrew used Doppler radar to locate the DZ. Each American SOG operator grabbed onto or linked up with a CIDG soldier. They would jump out in pairs in hopes of staying together. RT Florida exited the aircraft at 18,000 feet into complete darkness, quickly disappearing out of sight from the C-130. They would free fall for 71 seconds, opening their chutes at 1,500 feet. The team landed scattered. some in trees and others in streams, which damaged some of the homing beacons they used to regroup once the team was on the ground. With the homing beacons used to regroup damaged, the members of RT Florida couldn't find each other. They assembled into 4 elements. The ARVN officer in the CIDG was one element, another CIDG was with Newman, Hill and Hernandez were each independent and on their own. The Doppler radar dropped the team 6 miles off their intended DZ, however RT Florida continued their mission under heavy rain. The NVA had no idea they were even there, and the rain stopped after the 4th day. RT Florida was unable to locate the communications line and was extracted on day 5 by Jolly Green HH-3E helicopters out of Thailand. RT Florida was successfully inserted without the NVA knowing, and the first combat HALO jump was deemed a success, but MACV SOG and their missions did not exist. The jump success remained unknown outside of the Special Forces realm until the mid-1990s when MACV SOG and their missions were declassified. SOG would make a total of 5 combat jumps in Vietnam. I hope you enjoyed the video about the first combat HALO. I'm going to make another video detailing all 5 HALO jumps performed by MACV SOG in Vietnam, so make sure to hit that notifications bell so you know when this video is released. Now time for some skydiving HALO fun facts. Taking it back to Colonel Joseph Kittinger II and Project Excelsior. Project Excelsior was 3 separate HALO jumps conducted between November 1959 and August 1960. Project Excelsior was a continuation of the work conducted by Colonel Stapp and focused on high-altitude bailouts. The first jump occurred from a height of 76,400 feet on 16 November 1959. Kittinger rode an open gondola carried up to the heavens by a helium balloon. He was equipped with a pressure suit and breathed oxygen during these jumps. The first jump almost killed Kittinger. An equipment malfunction caused him to lose consciousness. Unconscious, Kittinger then went into a flat spin, rotating at a speed of 120 revolutions per minute. This spinning force also caused him to experience 22 Gs, which is another record. Kittinger's life was saved when his parachute opened automatically. The second jump took place on 11 December 1959. This jump occurred at 74,700 feet. The last jump was on 16 August 1960 at an altitude of 102,800 feet. The freefall from this was 4 minutes and 36 seconds. During the freefall, Kittinger reached a speed of 614 miles per hour. Kittinger's chute opened at 18,000 feet and he landed safely. This was a record kept by Kittinger until 14 October 2012, when the Red Bull Stratus jump took place. This jump was conducted by Felix Baumgartner. Baumgartner rode a capsule lifted by a helium balloon and stepped off at an altitude of 127,851 feet above the Earth. That's right, dude jumped 24.214 miles high. The freefall lasted for 4 minutes and 16 seconds until the parachute was opened. During this freefall, Baumgartner reached a speed of 834 miles per hour, making him the first human to break the sound barrier without a plane. Colonel Kittinger was present during this jump too. Kittinger was in ground control and was in constant communication with Baumgartner. Pretty crazy stuff. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, Trash Panda Actual out.